All right, let's take a look now through the top headlines in the French newspapers this Thursday with Diptyque Laurent. Hello there.
Hi, Kat.
And you're going to start us off with Libération. It's once again devoting its top story to the ongoing manhunt for the main suspect in the Berlin attack.
That's right. It's a Europe-wide manhunt for Anis Amri. He's suspect number one, Libération says on its front page, and authorities are offering up to 100,000 euros for any information leading to the arrest of the 24-year-old. The left-leaning daily Libération says that Amri arrived in Germany as an illegal immigrant in July 2015. He's been under the radar of intelligence services ever since his name appeared on a list of about 1,000 people considered to be a national security threat. He was suspected to be it was possible that he could carry out an attack, that he may have had ties to the Islamic State group. Amri was actually discovered, Libé says, only because he left his temporary residency permit in the truck after the attack in Berlin, much like what the attackers did after the Charlie Hebdo attack here in Paris.
And there are questions coming out about how solid German security is, considering that it seems that quite a lot was known about this man. He certainly doesn't have an entirely clean past.
Well, why wasn't he under stricter surveillance from the Germans? That's what Le Parisien is asking in its article, evoking the idea of defy the security weaknesses. After all, this individual was able to prepare this attack, procure weapons, and no doubt commit the attack with the help of an accomplice, Le Parisien says. So why wasn't he under better surveillance? One possible explanation, according to a police union rep, could be that there just simply wasn't enough police personnel deployed.
All right, well, the attacks and the way that the German authorities have given ground to people who are calling for strict security. Some people talking about a state of emergency, which is something that we still currently have here in France. It was put in place after attacks in 2015.
That's right. Well, we've sort of become used to this state of emergency in France, but Germany has for a long time shied away from these kind of discussions that may infringe on personal freedoms in the interests of national security. But La Croix, the French Catholic paper, says on its front page, Germany is debating security now. It's sort of had to, given the aftermath of the Berlin attack, and it's something that's gaining traction. La Croix reminds us that it's not just Germany, but all of Europe that is having to debate this issue right now, around the limits of individual freedom and national security. Now, Le Figaro, the right-leaning paper on its front page, says that Berlin is discovering the scale of the Islamist threat. The paper says Germany believed for a long time that it was spared in some way from the threat, but it's now realizing that, well, Germany is just as vulnerable as other countries to the Islamist threat. Le Figaro says that jihadists are planting seeds of doubt around Merkel's refugee policy, and by doing this, they're achieving their goal, which is to terrorize Western populations.
Let's move on to another story that's being reported in the French press. This is some good old-fashioned investigative journalism, which is now being picked up by other newspapers. It's about Marine Le Pen, the head of the far-right National Front Party. She's facing an inquiry over a $30 million loan from Russia to the party for the presidential election next year.
Well, it's all allegations, of course, for the moment. Le Parisien has picked up the story from Le Canard Enchaîné, which is a French satirical paper. They reported yesterday that Marine Le Pen had asked a Russian bank affiliated with Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, to bankroll her presidential campaign next year with a loan of around $30 million. Now, it's important to note that Le Canard Enchaîné, which broke the story, is financially independent. They don't have political ties. So now Le Parisien says that, well, U.S. Republican Mike Turner, he's on the House of Representatives Committee on Intelligence. Well, he's asked for an investigation into the matter, even suggesting that they send spies to Russia to look into this. Le Pen here in France has not been able to get funding from French banks, hence the reason she's been reaching out to Russia. Now there are reports, Le Parisien reports, that she may have agreed to recognize Crimea as Russian territory in exchange for this loan. But as I said, for the moment, it's all allegations. The party has firmly denied them, calling them, quote, far-fetched.
Still, I imagine more investigations might well follow up. Just got one final story for our viewers, which you might find a little bit shocking, depending on your own personal thoughts about this kind of thing. It's a school class photo with a difference, to say the very least.
Well, that's right. It's a class photo at a school in Avignon in southern France. You caught me off guard there.
Sorry.
The design and technology students and a couple of their teachers decided to pose naked, or at least appear naked, in their class photo. Turns out it's a bit of a tradition in this school to pick a theme each year for their class photo. So I guess the theme this year was a full Monty. There's no political statement. It's just a bit of fun. Mind you, the students have told reporters that they were not really naked, that they were wearing some form of clothing underneath. And those who didn't want to pose naked posed with clothing in the back with a signboard saying nudity on it. Ils ont eu le culot, the Huffington Post says, a French word that means brave or courage, but it's also a play on words. Cul in French also means you're behind.
Very unusual indeed. I wonder if they might make it into a Christmas card for their families. Thanks very much, Diptyque Laurent, looking through the French press there. Let's take a short break now here on France 24. We'll see you in a couple of minutes' time.